Hey guys, how you doing? It's Lisa here. I just thought I'd come and do a stitch with me video. So I'm actually working on my Ultimate Hawker and Hollow piece at the moment. So I thought, you know, you can come and stitch this boring pumpkin bed with me, and yeah, while we have a bit of a chat and a bit of a catch up and let you know how I'm doing. So I'm sitting in my conservatory at the moment, so it might sound a little bit more hollow than it normally would, but we'll work with it. It's been glorious, the weather at the moment. We've been so lucky with the weather. So I've been off, as you may or may not know, for the last 2 weeks. So what did I say? It's Friday the 6th of July now. So yeah, I'm getting ready to go back to work on Monday, which, oh God, I'm really not looking forward to. I think when you've had a decent stretch of time off, it really does sort of make you realise how great it is not to go to work, really. But I couldn't have picked a better 2 weeks. I don't know, for people who live in the UK or those who are abroad, you may have seen the weather that we've been having over in the UK. It's been, you know, unprecedented for this time of year in terms of how hot it's been. So we've been sort of mid to high 20s for the full 2 weeks that I've been off, you know, not a drop of rain. It's coming a little bit cloudy over the last couple of days maybe, but you know, I can't complain really. So yeah, it's been really nice. So I didn't get across to the static, unfortunately, and I didn't go because over on the east coast with the sea breeze, it's not been quite as hot as it has inland where I am. So you know, I've wanted to maximise on the opportunity to get a bit of a suntan and chill in the sun. So yeah, so that's exactly what I've been doing really. So not an awful lot to show for my 2 weeks off. So I haven't done a lot of stitching really, not as much as I thought I would normally get done, you know, because when the weather's nice, all you want to do really is sit out in the garden, isn't it, and just enjoy the sun. So I'm just going to mark off on my iPad here where I've just been. So yeah, I've just wanted to chill out. I've done a lot of reading actually. I've read a lot more than I thought I would do. So I used to be a really avid reader when I was younger, but you know, since cross stitch has pretty much taken over my entire life, I don't get a chance to read very much. So I'm on my third book of the 2 weeks, which is pretty slow for me, but you know, it's not bad. So the first book I read was a book called 13, and it's a book by a guy called Steve Kavanagh. So basically it's built on the premise of a series of murders, but the interesting thing is that the killer is part of the jury. So you know, he's kind of hidden himself within the jury, and it's a case of, you know, the police having to catch him. But the guy, I mean, this is not giving it away because this is all talked about, you know, in the blurb of the book, but oh my God, this guy is pretty ruthless in terms of how he goes about working. So there's quite a few twists and turns within the book, which is really good. The other book that I read, which is a little bit different, was a book called Now You See Her. And it's built on the premise of a child abduction, and the author of that was a lady called Heidi Perks. So I don't know how many books she's written, so she was a new author to me anyway, but yeah, again, I thoroughly enjoyed that book. So I'm now reading a book which was actually a freebie as I'm a Prime member, called, what's it called? A Killer's Mind by a guy called Mike Omar. So I'm not that far into it yet, but we're dealing with another serial killer. So if you haven't already picked up on the fact, the genre of books I like are normally thrillers and books to do with serial killers, which probably says more about my personality type than anything else really, doesn't it? So yeah, they're the types of books that I like to read more than any others. So I've just realised that when I've marked off my chart, I've missed part of where I've been. So I'm just going to quickly mark up on my chart a couple of the stitches in terms of where I've been, just so I don't get lost, because I don't want to sort of look at my pattern and then be sort of panicking as to where I've been and not been. So give me a moment to do that. and then we'll get back to the chatting. So, God, it's ever so warm in here. I've closed the doors. My neighbour's side door, when she opens the side door, basically, you can see into my conservatory, and she doesn't do it very often, obviously. It's only if she's coming to put some rubbish out. But what I didn't want is for her to open the door and then see me sitting here with all of my cameras set up. She would have thought that was quite curious and strange. So yeah, if you can see the colours changing and the light changing, obviously that's just the clouds, so apologies for any changes in the light as we go. So yeah, back to my time off. So apart from sunning myself, reading, I've uploaded and created some content for my channel. I've been making some tutorials on beading, which take an awful lot of time. So I've done 3 of those, so I just need to edit them, and then I'll be able to get them posted online. And you know, if you guys are interested in that type of thing, then you can watch and learn to bead. So I've done a bit of that, and then the rest of it's just not a lot. I have decided to make some changes to my house. So I'm knocking my kitchen and dining room into one and creating like a big new super kitchen. I don't really cook, so it's more of a showpiece than anything. But I live in a decent sized house, and for the size of the house, I can't believe that they chose to put such a small kitchen in. It beggars belief, really, that they would do that. So, you know, I don't have an awful lot of cupboard space in my kitchen and storage space. So, you know, I've decided that I'm going to solve that by knocking down a wall. I'm ripping out the back of the house. So at the minute, there's patio doors that lead into the kitchen, and there's a window in the dining room. And I'll take a photograph and I'll show you so you can see what I mean. So in essence, I'm knocking the wall out, which starts at the patio doors and ends at the window. So that's all coming down, and then in that space I'm putting bifold doors. And what that will do is create a lot of light, and then I'll be able to open up those doors and just, you know, chill out in that living space, really. So that's the plan. I'm just going to count my stitches and make sure I'm okay. So that's kind of the general plan of that. So I'm really looking forward to it. Oh God, there's somebody's house alarm. Do you know what? I was hoping that while I sat in here, like just for like half an hour, there'd be some peace. You know, I love the summer, but oh my God, it brings out the dickheads, doesn't it? I mean, you know, if it's not somebody, not that people shouldn't be allowed to make noise, but if it's not somebody mowing the lawn, there's somebody hitting something with a hammer, or they've turned some sort of angle grinder on and they're making a whole load of noise. You know, just at the point where you just want to chill out and listen to the birds tweeting away. So yeah, I think that's one thing with the summer is, yeah, it brings people out, doesn't it? And yeah, you always get alarms going off when you're just trying to relax and chill out. There's always somebody there to spoil your fun, isn't there? Which is, you know, why I'd really like a house that's in the middle of nowhere with no neighbours, where I can just live with my lovebirds and my doggy, alone, isolated, and very, very happy. Makes me sound like a very miserable person, doesn't it? So while I'm here stitching, I thought I would do a tag. So this is a tag that is uploaded by a lady who goes under the YouTube channel of Mama's Losing It, and she's created quite a few tags. So Danielle Stitcherista did this tag when she was doing her recent diamond paint with me upload. So I thought, oh, do you know what? I quite like that one. I think there's a lot of questions in there that, you know, sort of you get to know somebody via the answers that they give to the questions. So I'm going to start that now. So this is, I think it's kind of called something like a general tag. I'll put now in the name of what it's called if it's not on my piece of paper. So the first question is, do you keep up with the Kardashians? The answer to that is no. I really, really do not. I mean, I can't even name them, really. I know there's Kim, I think there's Caitlyn, and is there Jenner? Or something like that. I know one of them does a lot of makeup, doesn't she? I do watch quite a few makeup tutorials. But Kendall, there's Kendall as well, isn't there? Kendall K or something like that. I don't know. So I did watch at one point a few episodes of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, but I don't know, it just seems so contrived, doesn't it? I don't really like reality TV that's like that. I like, I don't know, like normal people. So I like Big Brother. I mean, I do like the celebrity Big Brother version, don't get me wrong, but I like the general Big Brother. And I'm also at the moment watching Love Island. I don't know if any of you live in the UK. I didn't watch the first 2 series. I got into it last year, but I absolutely love Love Island. And what I like about programs like Big Brother and Love Island is seeing how the personalities change over a period of time. Like you're introduced to these people who come into the show who are all like nicey and it's just interesting to see how their personalities change and develop over time. And you know, and then you see their true traits start to come out, and I just find it fascinating. I find people watching, and I find that kind of reality show like so fascinating, like from a human psychology perspective, and how putting people under stress, and it just changes them, like their mental psyche completely, and they almost become different people. So reality TV from the perspective of, you know, your Joe Blogs off the street put into a particular situation, I do enjoy. But like celebrity reality, no, I don't. I'm not kind of up to date with celebrities. I don't know who most people are. I don't watch a lot of films. So, you know, if you ask me, you know, what do I think of, I don't know, a particular film star or whatever, I wouldn't probably know who they are. I just don't really buy into like celebrity and things like that. So the second question is, if you could have an old muscle car, which one would you choose? Now, coming from the UK, I don't know a lot about muscle cars. The only one I do know is the Mustang, the US Mustang, and obviously I think about Mustangs in relation to, you know, the cabriolet style where the roof comes down and you do Route 66. So if I had to think of one, that would be the one, and obviously then to be able to do Route 66 would be absolutely awesome. I'm just going to count my stitches. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Where am I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm going to do 2 more, and then that's me to that end of that bit. So another pumpkin outline has been created. Now, if you to ask me what my most desired car would be and what I would love more than anything in the world, it would be an Aston Martin DB9. I love that car. It's just, oh my god, it's just gorgeous. Everything about it, it just looks so sleek. Oh, it's amazing. Will I ever own one? Never in a million years, unless I win the lottery, which is probably incredibly unlikely. So yeah, that would be my absolute dream car. Would have to be silver as well. I think it looks so nice in the silver with blacked out windows. So that's what I would go for. The third question is, do you curse like a sailor when the camera isn't rolling? Yeah. I can't. Believe it or not. And yeah, I've occasionally said the odd curse word. when I've been sort of making videos. I don't sort of drop the F-bomb in particularly. I don't think I've ever done the F-bomb on my YouTube channel. It's quite PG. So yeah, I do. I'm not a potty mouth by any stretch of the imagination, but I tend to do it more under you know, frustration than anything. I try not to do it too much in front of my parents, if I can help it. Sometimes the odd one slips out, as as it does, but yeah, I particularly do it when I'm driving. Yeah, I tend to call out other drivers as I'm, you know, on the road, because I do spend a lot of time on the road. So yeah, I do swear a reasonable amount, more than average, I would say, when the camera isn't rolling. The next question is, if your significant other gave you a hall pass, who would you use it on? Well, at the moment, I'm a single girl. I've been single for, God, I'd say it's coming up nearly a year now. So I split up with my ex around the time that I was really ill last year. And I suppose now, only now I realise what a toxic influence he really was on my life. You know, when somebody just drains you and drains, I don't know, everything about you. Oh God, it was just probably one of the most draining times of my life, really, when I look back, and I can't believe that I tolerated it for that long. But if I was with somebody and they did give me a hall pass, which I'm assuming means like they would allow you to go on a date with somebody or spend some time with them, it would be either Patrick Dempsey, who plays Dr. McDreamy in Grey's Anatomy. I think he's just gorgeous. He really is. Looks wise, I'm not sure what his personality is like in reality, because obviously these good looking guys often know they're good looking, and you know, they're not as nice as you would imagine them to be. So, you know, just purely based on looks and obviously not knowing an awful lot about him, because obviously why would I would go with Patrick Dempsey. Or I would go with Hugh Grant. Now, not Hugh Grant as he is now, but I'm talking Hugh Grant when he was in the film Love Actually. And I don't know if everybody's seen Love Actually, but when he plays the Prime Minister in that, yeah, he's so fit. You know, he just is. I don't know what it is. I just think he just plays such a good character, and he is particularly hot in that video. So yeah, they're the two, sort of Patrick Dempsey or Hugh Grant as he was in Love Actually. And above and beyond that, I don't really know a lot of the newer actors. As I said, I don't really get involved in celebrity lifestyles and, you know, what the guys do, and yeah, it just doesn't really interest me. I don't have time for it. So the next question is, what is the one thing you do that you hate to admit? Oh, let's have a think. So, I bite my fingernails. And I know I shouldn't, but yeah, I'm a bit of a finger biter, as you can probably tell, considering I'm doing sort of a close-up of hands and stitching. They're probably not as nice as I would like to have them on camera. And I must admit, when I've been doing some of my jewellery beading tutorials, I have looked at like the scabby bits, well, not scabby bits, but dry skin bits on my hands, and thought, God, girl, like, you really should tidy that up a little bit and maybe put some nail polish on, or, you know, I did file my nails, but yeah, I am a bit of a nail biter. So yeah, I suppose that's one of the things that I don't really like, or wouldn't readily admit to people. The next question is, do you really brush your teeth in the morning and at night? Be honest. So on a morning, absolutely I do, because, you know, I work with people. You know, I'm in the car with somebody all day, and the last thing that anybody who has to sit next to me would want is like bad breath. So always on a morning, because I'm going to work. Usually on an evening. Hand on heart, do I brush my teeth every evening? I don't. That's really naughty, isn't it? If, you know, when I was seeing my ex, he was here, obviously I'd brush my teeth then, because I'm not going to get into bed without brushing my teeth. But when I'm on my own, I'd say about, I don't know, I brush them probably 8 times out of 10, and there'll be a couple of times when I maybe don't. And it'll just be because I'm absolutely shattered and I just want to get into bed really, and yeah, there's only me in there most of the time. So yeah, you know, I shouldn't, because it's not healthy and it's not good for your teeth, is it? Especially, you know, when you've had a day of chomping and then you haven't brushed them. So yeah, that's a bit revolting. And that's probably, you know, when I've talked about fingernail biting, you could add that into, yeah, one of the things that, you know, I would rather people didn't know about me. So I'm just going to mark these 4 stitches off. I'm going to have to add some thread on in a moment. Let's see if we've got enough to answer the next question. So, what is your go-to drink at Starbucks? Right, I prefer Costa to Starbucks. I don't know what it is. I just like Costa coffee better than Starbucks. Not that I won't drink Starbucks, because sometimes, you know, that's often all that there is at that particular place. So it would, as you know, historically it's been a latte. That has been traditionally what I would go for in the past. Now, I'm kind of out with people most days of the week, so when I meet members of my team to start what we call a field visit, which is basically where I get in the car and we go and see our customers together, and I'm there to sort of coach and educate and support them, you know, with their day-to-day jobs, as well as, you know, be their day-to-day manager and deal with pastoral care of the team and stuff. I often refer to them as my kids, and I have 13 of them. So yeah, they keep me busy. So the lattes, you know, I meet the guys, I'll have a latte, and then we'll go and do what we need to do. We'll come back, have lunch, go and do a little bit more, and then I might have another coffee, which would probably be a latte. But there's a lot of calories in a latte, and you know, when you start to chunk up a little bit and you think, right, well, I probably need to knock those on the head. So I have started to. So I've moved more towards a flat white now, which obviously has an awful lot less milk in it. And then I've recently discovered the cortado. Now, I don't know if you've had that before, but it has like a really strong coffee with a tiny bit of milk, and it comes in a really small cup. And I didn't know about cortados, and one of my team introduced me to them. So I get the caffeine hit, but not the extra calories of all the full fat milk of a latte. I mean, I know you can go skinny, but it just doesn't taste the same, does it? A skinny latte. I have had them, but yeah. So yeah, I guess more of the milky type of coffees would be what I would go for. So I'm just going to spin this and end the thread, and just fasten it through a couple of more stitches on the back there, and then cut it off, and then I'm going to thread up another strand. So I'm working this, for those of you who don't know, so this is stitched on 40 count vintage country mocha linen, even weave, sorry, it's not linen, it's even weave, I think. Even weave. And I'm stitching with the Call for MPIs, which, if you've been watching any of my other videos, have actually almost financially ruined me kitting the kit up with them. So yeah, so I'm working with the MPIs. So I'm stitching 1/2, so it's coming out sort of 20 count size, and I'm doing that because I just didn't want to be using 2 strands of MPI for every stitch that I make. So with just 1 strand working, it makes it a more cost-effective way of doing it. So that's what I'm doing here. So I'm just going to join this other thread on. I'm using the lasso method with this. When I'm stitching with 2 strands, I'll always do the loop method to start with, but you know, I don't have the luxury of that here. So yeah, it's a lasso method. Right, so oh, here's Daisy. She's looking through the door at me. Bear with me, I'm just going to pause while I let Daisy. Sorry about that, I've just let Daisy in. She was in the front room playing with one of her toys, and then she just appeared at the patio door there, wanting to come into the conservatory. So she's just sitting next to me. I don't know how quiet she's going to be, so we'll just see. It is quite warm in here, so she'll probably start panting and want to leave sooner rather than later, but we'll sort of see how we go. So back to some of the questions. Where were we? Is your current hair colour your real hair colour? So I have highlights, so I have blonde highlights in my hair, so it's not far off. It's lighter than it would normally be, but I've always been fair haired, always been blonde, so I guess so, but obviously it's just enhanced a little bit with highlights, just to make it a bit lighter or fairer than it would naturally be. I used to have like really long hair down my back when I was just before sort of 10, 11, and then I went to secondary school when I was 11, as we do in the UK, and the trend, so you're talking, where would it be? Yeah, the mid 80s was perms. Now if the 80s fashion is just something on its own, isn't it? So I decided, like as many of the girls in my school had, that I was going to get my hair permed, and went ahead and did it, and my hair has never been anywhere near as good as it used to be since I had it permed. You know, I really did destroy my hair when I was 11, and I've never ever been able to grow it long since, because the perm damaged it so much. So yeah, that's why my hair's always, you know, been shorter since, following on from my crazy 80s day. Oh god, you look back and my hair was just like one unit, so you would pull a strand of hair and everything would move together. We had that much product in our hair, you wouldn't believe it. It really was like a helmet in a way, and we used to get the strongest hairspray to lock the styles in. I remember, I think you can still get it. It was a product, it was made by a company called Inset, and it was Inset Spiky. I don't know whether any of you in the UK or US might have ever come across that in the 80s, and oh my god, it was like literally cement for your hair. Yeah, I got to the point where there was that much product in my hair that I couldn't like physically get it out, and I had to go to the hairdressers to get it sort of, not stripped, but like sort of pulled back to the hair to get the product out. It was revolting. But yeah, so that's the hair stories. Let's have a look. If you could swap bodies with somebody, who would it be and why? Oh gosh, it's got to be Halle Berry when she comes out of the water in the James Bond film. Oh my god, yeah, I wish I looked like that when I come out of the water. Sadly, I do not. It's more like a beach whale floundering on the shoreline than anything attractive like that. I mean, I'm not huge in terms of size, but yeah, I mean, I do need to exercise more. I mean, I was really into my running at one point, and that sort of slipped by the by. I got really busy at work, and oh God, I shouldn't let work dictate your life and your fitness, but It did, and I've kind of got out of the running trap, and I was going to do it during these 2 weeks while I was off, but it's been so warm that, you know, the last thing I want to do is run outside or on my treadmill, so I haven't done any fitness. But yeah, I do need to get back to that, and I will do, and tone up really, because obviously I'm not as toned as the likes of Halle Berry coming out of the water. Everything's sort of a bit more saggy and a bit more wobbly than you would like it to be. So let me just count my stitches. Here, 3, 4, 5, 6. I finished that little section. I'm just going to mark off on my little chart where I am. And do that now, and I'm just going to scoot across and do that bottom section. So miss 1 and stitch 6. So next question. Have you read 50 Shades of Grey? If so, what did you think? I have done. God, it was a long time ago when I read it. It was okay. But put it this way, I didn't ever go on to read any of the other books in the series, so I don't know kind of what's happened. You know, what is the 50 Shades Freed? I don't know. There's been various films done as well, and I've never watched any of the movies either, so it was okay. You know, from a, you know, I've a sort of a strong affiliation with English literature, and you know, my favourite book is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. So is it, you know, a classic in terms of, you know, the writing style? Absolutely not. I mean, it is what it is, isn't it? So yeah, it was all right at the time. As I said, it was a long time ago. I can't remember very well. Obviously you can remember quite a bit of it for obvious reasons, but it's not something that sort of stuck with me, and it's not something that inspired me enough to go on and read or purchase the rest of the books that were in the 50 Shades series, put it that way. So I think that answers that question. The next one is, do you crack your knuckles? No, and I can't crack my knuckles. I never have been able to. I know some people can also pull the fingers and they'll click. I can't do that. And I don't really want to be able to crack my knuckles either. So no, I can't. And I have trouble like clicking my fingers. I can't whistle either. So sorry, that alerted Daisy. I should have kept quiet. She's going to start barking now. That's my own fault. Daisy, shush. Shush, Daisy. I've set the birds off in the other room as well, so I can't whistle very well. I'd love to be able to do one of those whistles, you know, where you stick your fingers in your mouth and blow, and it creates this really loud whistle. I'd love to be able to do that, guys, but yeah, I can't do that either. So, no, I can't crack my knuckles. Have you accidentally text messaged someone something you were supposed to be sending to your special someone? No, I haven't done that. But I have done something that's a little bit worse than that. So I was on Facebook and I was kind of stalking. Well, not stalking, that's the wrong word, but I was on the profile of the somebody who I was seeing's ex. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, so that's another 6. And you know, when you just sort of scrolling, I was on my iPad and I was just sort of chilling and I was just looking, but never really posted very much on there. But you know, when you just go on for a bit of a nosy just to see what's being posted, and I accidentally clicked on the friend request button, and oh my god, I just went into like free fall meltdown. I mean, I tapped it again, obviously, to unfriend her, because at the time my settings for Facebook, and I've stopped it now because I was just getting hit all the time with people posting and passing comments, but I used to get like an email feed of when people had like friend requested me, and I was thinking, oh my god, well, what if this person has exactly the same setup? And yeah, so I panicked and I deleted my Facebook account. I would try to delete it, and then just sort of prayed to God that this person didn't get an email friend request from me that suddenly went missing, because I didn't want her to know that obviously I was looking. I mean, she didn't know me, it didn't matter, but it's just the principle of it, because if she was sort of wondering who I was, then went to click on my profile and, you know, started putting 2 and 2 together, she might literally put 2 and 2 together. So yeah, so now whenever I'm on Facebook, I'm always super careful about, you know, not clicking that friend request button, because yeah, I mean, I must admit, I had a couple of anxious days sort of wondering whether or not there'd be any fallout from it, and there never was. So yeah, I got away lightly with that one. So this is linked in a way. Have you ever created a fake profile to creep on someone? Nah. And I guess it's linked. I mean, clearly I probably should, and then I wouldn't accidentally friend request people who I don't want to be friends with. But I don't. I kind of will just, you know, have a good creep about on my own anyway. Do you know what I mean? And now I am a little bit more careful, and I don't hit that friend request button. But yeah, you know, I'm quite good at sort of, you know, stalking in a way, in a, you know, obviously a non-threatening manner. You know, there's an awful lot of information you can find out of people on the internet, and you know, I'm not adverse to going in and having a dig about, and you know, around, you know, friends who I'm not friends with anymore, you know, people who, you know, I've sort of been involved with in the past and not anymore. You know, I'll have a good look. There's Twitter accounts, obviously there's Google searches. You know, nothing's private, is it? Do you know what I mean? Your whole world's pretty much laid bare for everybody to have a look at, isn't it? You know, if you put yourself not out there, but you know, you're fairly involved with stuff. You know, there's an awful lot of information that you can get on people. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not a stalker by any stretch, but I do like a good nosy. I think I've done too many stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm just going to come back down and just stitch this other stitch here. So yeah, I'm not a stalker, guys, don't worry. But I'm just very nosy. But no, I've never created a separate profile to be able to do it. What's the next question? Which is your weakness, cookies or pastries? Probably neither, really. I mean, it would be cookies in like the form of biscuits here in the UK, but I'm more of like a chocolate, or I'll tell you what I do like, and that I buy every time I go to the shop and have done sort of consistently for the last few months. I love Haribo's, and the Tangtastic ones, you know, the sour ones. Oh my god. You know, I go through a tub of those a week, which is obviously not helping the old figure line. You know, I'm blaming the lattes, but it's probably the excessive amount of sugar that I'm consuming with those packets of sweets. But oh god, yeah, they're to die for. And then obviously, you know, I can't just put one in my mouth. I have to shove like 2 or 3 in at the same time, which is just disgusting, really. So that's another thing I probably wouldn't want people to know about me, is the amount of Tangtastic Haribo's I shove into my mouth in one go. But yeah, I mean, that's my weakness. So from a sweet perspective, it's the Haribo's and chocolate, and then I also like savoury, so I like crisps and nuts and that kind of thing. And you know, often on an evening, you know, it's getting later, you know, as you do, start to get, you know, a bit of a craving for something, and go off and raid my piggy cupboard in the kitchen and get some crisps or sweets or something like that before I go to bed. And then obviously not always brush my teeth, so I'm lucky I've got any teeth left in my mouth. So what's next on this question? What do you love about yourself? That's an interesting one. I don't know. I think it's a personality trait, I think, more than anything. It's my like tenacity, I think, and to do things and to learn things. You know, I'm constantly learning and, you know, developing and, you know, just striving to better myself in whatever way that is, whether it's from, you know, being a good human being to being better at my job, you know, being better at some of the creative, crafty things I do, you know, learning about my hobbies, you know, whether that's, you know, cross stitch, beading, you know, I'm always doing something. I'm never still for very long. And I guess, yeah, I mean, that would be it really. I think my tenacity and my drive, really. I always wanted to be in a position where I was not dependent on anybody to provide for me, you know, particularly a male partner. You know, I never wanted to find myself in a situation where I was having to stay with somebody just because I couldn't afford to leave them. And I've managed to do that 2, 3, 4, 5, maybe perhaps a little bit too well, really. You know, as I said, I've been single for quite a while, and I do like it. I do like not being alone, but I do like my own company and being able to just do what I want when I want, you know. So maybe I've gone, you know, a bit too far with that, and, you know, need to start thinking about, you know, letting somebody back into my life again, maybe. I don't know. But it has to be the right person, doesn't it? You know, I'm not very good at finding those, sadly. But anyway, let's have a look. Do you have to match your nail polish to your toe polish? No, I never. Very rarely. We've just been talking about hands earlier. I very rarely have nail polish on. I go through phases. So I got like, you know, the light, what you put your hand in to do like the shellac nails. So I went through a phase where I was doing, you know, those, the gel nails, and then I stopped doing it. I guess it's another thing that takes up time, doesn't it? But no, I don't often, and then I get irritated by them as well. So, you know, if for example, like one of them chips, I know shellac's quite hard to chip, but say it chips, and then it'll just drive me nuts. Like the fact I've got a chipped nail, and then I'll peel the nail varnish off, or the gel nail off, and then I'll have to do the same to all the other nails, because I can't have one like nail that has polish on and one that doesn't. Sorry, I've managed to get myself into a knot here, bear with me, we can still chat while I pick it out. So there we go, that was easier than I thought. It wasn't one of those monstrous knots. I've just licked my floss. Yeah, I'm a floss licker, so what? So yeah, it tends to just drive me nuts. I do my toenails, so my toenails have polish on now because I'm wearing sandals a lot with it being warm, but yeah, it wouldn't really bother me if they didn't match. Be nice to have matching toenails and fingernails, but yeah, it doesn't often happen that way. Next question. Tell us a few things about you that people would be surprised to know about you. So I guess extra qualifications. Some of you might know this from like my first introductory upload. God, when was that? Nearly 2 years ago. But obviously it's like a long time. So I am a qualified florist. And I did my floristry course. At the time I was working, while I was doing my A-levels, let's go back, I had a Saturday job in a florist. Amongst many other things, I worked in a jeweller's to start with, and when I was 14, I went straight out and got myself a Saturday job in a jeweller's because I wanted to earn some of my own money. I also worked quite a lot of the school holidays as well, and I guess that sort of, you know, shows my personality and ambition to, you know, earn money and resource myself financially. And then I've worked in a butcher's while I was doing my A-levels, and then I moved to the florist shop because obviously that smelled a lot nicer. And then while I was deciding what to do with my life, I started managing one of the shops for the owner, and did that for a couple of years. Actually, it was good, but I wasn't using my brain as much as I would want to. Very creative though, it was good fun. And whilst I was there, I decided I was going to do my NVQ levels. So it's 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got my NVQ level 1, 2 and 3 in floristry. I'm also a qualified hypnotherapist as well. So that sort of involves all sorts of different aspects, from dealing with fears and phobias to, what else? Smoking cessation, weight loss. Maybe I should try and hypnotise myself, weight loss, hypnobirthing, you name it, everything. I did that a couple of years ago and qualified. Not really done very much with it since. I have, interestingly enough though, done past life regressions on all of my family. And obviously while they were under hypnosis, I recorded it for them so they could sort of hear what was happening. And oh my God, that was absolutely fascinating to get that level of insight into, things that had happened. We were in all different types of eras. And then obviously following the sessions, we started researching and Googling everything. And yeah, some of the reality was like, it was mind-blowing. I am mindful of this little knot, but it's one of those that I don't think, am I going to be able to pull it through? I don't know. Nah, I'm going to cheat and I'm going to pull it in like that. That's naughty, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, it's my cross stitch. So that was absolutely fascinating. So other things, like when I left college after my A-levels, I didn't really have a clue what I was going to do with my life. People say, that they kind of know what they want to be. I never did. I still don't know what I want to be when I grow up. But I just didn't really have like, oh, there's some kid bouncing their bloody football now. I hope that's not translating too much. See, there's always some knobhead to spoil your fun, isn't there? Be the kid next door. Nothing worse than kids, is there? I don't have them, but other people's naughty kids. Oh my God. Jeez. He's now decided he's going to start kicking the ball into their wall. Awesome. Right. So, I was saying about, it's really irritated me. I was saying about the fact I didn't know what I wanted to be when I left college. So I decided in my infinite wisdom I was going to apply for the police force, much to the merriment of some people in my family. A couple of family members said to me that I'd be as much use as a chocolate teapot in any given situation, and if they were under duress and I came running to save the day, they would like shit themselves because they knew I would be useless. I did sort of go through the assessment. So I passed everything except for the physical test, and I just couldn't do enough press-ups and push-ups and like the strength stuff. So the running was fine, like the bleep test where they have you running from one end of the room to the other under a bleep situation was fine, but I just wasn't like strong enough to pass the test. And everything else was fine, like they do like an aptitude test, they do like a checking your observation ability, your like recall to be able to like pick up facts, like you watch videos and then you're asked to report back on what colour the hair was, how many people were at the bus stop, what colour jacket was the woman with the bag carrying, all little things like that. So So that was fun. So obviously then I decided I wasn't going to be a police woman or a police woman. And then I was working in the florist, and I kind of, like I said, took a couple of years to decide what I wanted to do with my life. Hang on a minute, I'm just wondering whether I've gone wrong here. No, I'm good. And then I decided I was going to go into teaching, so I applied for teacher training. I was going to be a secondary school English teacher because I loved English literature and language. I did that at A level, so that's what I was going to do. And then I was walking through the high street of the town I used to live in at school kicking out time. I was going to tie this thread up and start a new one. I need to move position. And yeah, these horrible, and it wasn't even like a bad place where I lived, but like these kids came like storming out of the school and like walking down the high street, and they were like, I don't know, you know, when you just think, oh my God, I don't think I want to spend like the rest of my life teaching and trying to like instill something special in kids like you. And I know not all kids are like that, but you know, I don't have a very strong tolerance level for like people who are misbehaving, so it probably wasn't the best career option for me, and it wasn't, and I didn't do it. And I eventually found my way into nursing, which then sort of propelled me into the career that I do now. So it's funny how like your paths sort of work in life. I mean, if you'd have asked me, you know, when I left college, would I be doing what I do now? I would have never thought in a million years I'd be doing it. You know, my ideal job would be a vet. And, you know, I have gone through phases of, you know, thinking about, you know, funding myself through vet school. But, you know, I'm kind of a bit too set in my ways now. I mean, I could do it. I could financially fund myself through. I'd have to sell my house. Obviously, I wouldn't be working. So I wouldn't have any income for about 5 or 6 years. So, yeah, you know, I did debate it. I did look into it. I was, you know, considering in a serious way, you know, in the early part of this year, going off and doing it. And then, yeah, I decided not to. It'd just be hard to start another career. I'm now, you know, in my early 40s, so I'm now 42. So yeah, it would be probably a little bit too difficult to start that now, and you know, I need to start preparing for retirement so I can sit and sew and do beading tutorials on my YouTube channel. So that was quite a long answer to that question. Let's move on to the other. Heels or flats? Oh, flats now. I used to really love heels when I was younger, but oh God, yeah, put me in a pair of flats any day. I mean, I wear like a smaller heel for work, like they're not huge great heels, just because I don't want to turn up in a pair of flip-flops to work. It doesn't look, you know, in my line of work, that professional. But yeah, I mean, flip-flops, trainers, you know, that kind of thing is like my ideal footwear, really. I should really cut these lengths of thread down a little bit. It's probably a bit longer than I'd like to work with, but I'm just being lazy and leaving it. Right, I'm just going to highlight those stitches. Okay. I'm just using GoodNotes. I've just scanned the image and emailed it to myself into my laptop, and then just sort of uploaded it into GoodNotes, and I'm just highlighting it. It just doesn't work as like easy PDF where you can highlight the symbols. It's just easier to work with for me, and I'm not very good at working off a paper pattern, and I don't like highlighting my original copies either. So yeah, that's all I'm highlighting and working off at the moment. I will show you at some point the apps that I use for cross stitch and for timekeeping and things. I've said it 1,001 times. I will take some time to make an upload on that for you guys, so you can see the types of apps and how I use them to do what I do. So next question, if you could do anything for one day and money wasn't an option, how would you spend your day? Dream big. God, this is a difficult one. I don't know, there's like a million things I like to do, but I think I would like to hire a private jet and city hop for the day. You know, there's lots of cities I've been to, and there's lots I'd like to go to that I haven't been to. So I would probably like to do that. I loved Italy. I've been to a few places in Italy. It's fabulous. I mean, the ones that really stick out are Florence and Rome. I just loved Florence and Rome. I've been to quite a few places in Spain because obviously in my previous role I was managing a distribution company in the UK, and the parent company was Spanish, and they were based in Gijón, which is in Asturias in northern Spain. So obviously when I went across to my meetings to see the board of directors and obviously talk about the UK business, I got flown out there, which is difficult to get to, but oh my god, it's beautiful when you're there. So yeah, I would definitely city hop and try and get as much in that one day as I possibly could. You know, really plan, see as many of the sites, do as much as I could in that day, and get around as many of the European cities as I could. And it probably wouldn't be as many as I would think, but obviously in an ideal world this would be like a supersonic jet that would just, you know, a bit like Concorde and just get me to places like super fast. So that is probably what I would do there. What was the last YouTube video you watched? I watched one this morning which was linked to diamond painting, because obviously I've not jumped on the bandwagon too much with that, but I'm, you know, giving it a try to see whether I like it or not. It's looking relatively positive so far. You know, I'm not going to go out and buy a load of patterns at all. I think you have to be very careful what you buy, because the images on some of them are so pixelated. You know, you have to go big with them to get any real, you know, detail or depth to them. I mean, I'm a heaven and earth girl, you know, so I love detail. You know, I want to have at least 90 colours in my image to get that depth of colour and detail. And when you're working with, you know, the current one I'm doing now, which has 19 different colours in, you're not going to get the level of detail that you want within them. So, you know, I do like it. My plan with diamond painting is to kind of paint, or diamond paint, not stitch, a couple of heaven and earth designs that I really like, that are on my like wish list to do. They're already in my stash. That is probably going to be quite difficult for me to get through and two with stitching, because we know how long it takes to stitch a heaven and earth design. So it's just to enable me to do a few more patterns more than anything else. But yeah, the process is quite nice. So the last video I watched was by one of the diamond painting ladies that I've kind of been watching. I'm just going to spin this round because I'm just going to jump, but I'm going to pass my thread through, just tunnel my way through some of these threads here, just so I don't have like a great big loop hanging. I just like to do that. I do that with my heaven and earth designs when I'm carrying thread, just so I don't end up with a load of lines of thread all through the back. It's kind of a bit neater. So this lady is called Megan, and I'm trying to think what her YouTube, it's kind of teacher doing diamond painting or something like that. I can't quite remember. I'll link the channels of the people that I'm watching below. So I'm Megan was the last one I watched, and she was doing an unboxing. And then there's a couple of other diamond painters that I like. There's a lady called Doni, and then there's a lady called Ella, I think, who is kicking the butt of cancer. And they're the three that I've kind of watched more of. And obviously then we've got our Danielle Stitcherista, who's really jumped on the diamond painting bandwagon in a big style, who has come up with some really innovative ways of doing heaven and earth designs. There's diamond painting, you know, she's, to be fair, she's doing a great job with it. I just wish I had as much, you know, I don't think she has an awful lot of time, but I wish I had as much time to upload as she does. You know, she's very, very determined to make a real success of a channel, and seems to be really doing that as well. So I've done one too many stitches talking away. I'm going to just back up, and that's a missed one. Not, and come underneath. So that was the last one I watched. Oh, here's one. Do you have road rage? I have to be probably the worst person for road rage behind the wheel. And we've talked about cussing and swearing in one of the earlier questions. That is the time when my mouth turns into potty mouth, is when I'm behind the wheel of a car. I'm not a sort of a bad driver. I consider myself, and I know you should never say this, but I consider myself to be a good driver. With my job, I drive a lot, so I'm on the road pretty much every day, and we're not just talking, you know, 20 minutes down the road. We're talking 2-hour journey to the place I'm going to. So I'm in the car for 3 or 4 hours a day, as a general rule of thumb. And a lot of that is, you know, it's not all, but a lot of it's motorway driving, and, you know, you're going at a significant pace. There are so many morons on the road in the UK, and I guess this is globally as well, who seem to leave their brain behind when they get in the car, and are tunnel visioned when they're driving. So they're looking at the car in front and have no spatial awareness of where they are in relation to other cars and, you know, upcoming danger. And these are the guys who will sit and then all of a sudden will decide just to change lane because they've got too close to the lorry in front of them. They haven't planned or made any contingency for other drivers who may be in and around them. They've just decided they're going to pull out. I hate that. I just hate thoughtless driving and careless driving and aggressive behaviour on the road. Like, do you know what I mean? I drive a nice car and I get tailgated quite a bit. And I tend now not to rise to the bait anymore, because it's just not worth it, you know, from an anxiety level perspective. It's just not worth it. So, you know, I do try to avoid confrontational situations, but oh boy, sometimes people just do the most remarkably stupid things, and then, oh my god, do I vent. You know, the hand gestures start going, the swear words start going. I mean, if people could see me or record me, it's hilarious. And then I'll road rage as well for my team. So when I'm a passenger in their car on our field visits and they get cut up by a car, I'll road rage on their behalf as well. They find it highly amusing to watch me go off on one. But yeah, I just can't bear like selfish, like inconsiderate behaviour. And you know, the consequences are so great. You know, you're talking life or death consequences that I just don't understand why people just don't think before they do things. But, you know, this is people for you, isn't it? Next question. What is your favourite rock and roll song? So it would have to be Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. I have always loved John Bon Jovi. I went to see him once in concert in Gateshead, which is in the north of the UK, and we got there early, me and my friend, and we managed to get into like the front enclosure. Don't ask me how we did it, because we didn't have tickets to be there, but I think it's because we'd just arrived at stupid time, and they felt a bit sorry for us, and I was literally like 2 meters away from John Bon Jovi while he performed. Oh my God. And this is like, oh, we're talking how many years ago? Oh my God, 20 plus years ago, you know, back in his heyday when he was just stunningly gorgeous. But yeah, that was my sort of John Bon Jovi experience. But yeah, Living on a Prayer, and if it's ever on, you know, I'll be the one who's like screaming my head off and giving it large to that tune. Just love it, especially in the car, in between road rage sessions, of course. Who was your first kiss, and do you still talk to them? No. I don't even know who it was, really. And it's not because I'll tell you the story. So we went, you're talking, I was school age, so I was like 16, 17. I was quite a late starter when it came to things like that. But I guess maybe we were in those days as well. I certainly wasn't very forward with boys. And probably still aren't really. Definitely more so now than I used to be. But myself and my friends went off to a leisure centre, which, you know, had swim baths in, you know, that kind of thing. And we'd had lunch, and there was these like group of guys who were hanging around. So there was about 5 of us together, so sort of 5 girls, and there was this group of boys who had sort of been like, I guess, juvenile flirting with us in the swimming pool and things like that. So we'd had lunch, and like my friends were like, you know, this guy really likes you. I can't remember his name at all, and he wasn't like a bad looking guy, and they were like, you know, you should go and like spend a bit of time with him. So anyway, we did, and he sort of took me to like this quieter place of the leisure centre that we're in, and he kissed me, and honestly it was horrendous. It was the most traumatic time of my life, honestly. Like I don't know what I was expecting, but it wasn't that. And you know, he was trying to like stick his tongue in my mouth, and I could taste his chips that he'd had for lunch, and it was awful. And I was like distressed to the point that when my mum came to pick us up from the leisure centre, I was crying, like absolutely sobbing and breaking my heart. And my mum was trying to get out of me what had happened. I mean, she was panicking that much. Like my mum thought from my behaviour that I'd actually like been assaulted by a guy or raped or something because of like the performance, because I'd been kissed. And then when she found out that's what it was, I mean, obviously she was incredibly relieved, but she thought it was really funny, my reaction to it. But yeah, that was my first experience of like being like properly kissed, and yeah, it wasn't a good one. But it's a funny story to tell anyway. So, if you could have one YouTuber's closet, who would it be? I would probably choose, I don't know whether any of you watch Tati Westbrook, who does like beauty videos. Like she goes under the name of the Glam Life Guru, or she used to anyway, but now it's just like Tati or Tati, depending on how you pronounce it, T-A-T-I. She does like fabulous you know, makeup tutorials and reviews of stuff. She's a very, very glamorous lady. Yeah, I mean, she wears like beautiful clothes. Yeah, I wish I had her access to her closet. I wish I had access to her beauty room as well, where she does all of her filming. It's mazeballs, it really is. Next question: if you could have one YouTuber's makeup collection, who would it be? So I would like Tati Westbrook's makeup collection. I do watch a fair few YouTubers for makeup. So yeah, it would be like Tati Westbrook, Shanexo from YouTube as well. She has most amazing stash of makeup. And then I also watch Casey Holmes as well, who's another really popular makeup kind of advisor, influencer, beauty influencer. And also Aisling, who is an Irish girl, lovely lady, who goes under the name of Dramatic Mac as well. She has a really good collection as well. It's probably a more normal collection, although larger than, you know, the likes of what I would have, but not as sort of outrageous as the likes of Tati Westbrook's or Shanexo's collection, but still not to be sniffed at. And I certainly wouldn't mind, you know, having a good play with what those guys have from a makeup perspective, that's for sure. Do you have a nickname? I don't. I've never really had a nickname. My name is, obviously it's Lisa. My mum gave me Lisa because she felt as though it would be quite hard to shorten it, but people call me Lise. So I get Lise a lot, you know, from family and friends. So I guess that's the closest to a nickname that I have. What do you think is the best thing about your YouTube channel? I guess it's just, it's real. It's, you know, it's me. You know, I don't ever pretend to be something that I'm not on it. I don't put up content that I don't believe in or doesn't sort of represent me. I feel as though my channel does represent me, and I feel as though it gives, you know, for these type of uploads, you know, I'm always honest. You know, I'll never sort of sell myself short on it. So I think it is that. I guess it's the sort of the truth behind it, and you know, it's genuine. You know, everything I do with it is genuine, and you know, people will either like it or they won't like it. You know, and that's their choice. So, how many cars have you had, and what were they? So I've driven quite a lot. A lot of them have been like company work related cars, so I won't talk about those because they're not ones that I've owned. But my first car was a VW Polo, and it was E-Reg. Back at, like, in terms of UK registration numbers, it was a red one. Yeah, it was really sweet. I think I paid about £600 for it, something like that. It was while I was doing my nurse training that I acquired it, because I needed to get backwards and forwards to the hospital to do my shifts. So yeah, so that was my first car. And then when I qualified, I went out and bought myself like a sporty little number. And I had, what was it? It was a Citroen VTR, which at the time was like this little sporty, pokey, like the size of a Renault Clio, but obviously the Citroen version of it. And I just thought I was like the dog's bollocks in this car. Cost me an absolute fortune. And then it was kind of the toss-up of, you know, I wanted my own house at that point. So I was like 25, I wanted my own house, and I've got this car, and you can't live in the back of a car. And then I changed jobs, so I left nursing and I came into the career that I'm in now. And with that, you do more often than not, get company cars. One car that really sticks out in my mind, which I didn't own, but I just loved it. It was like the happy times in my life. We could order pretty much anything with the company I was with, and I ordered, I don't think they're around now, you may see the odd one on the road, but you know, you're talking about 15 years ago. It was a Hyundai coupe, V6, and it had a 3.2 litre engine in it. It was basically an engine in a roller skate, and it was like one of these small coupes. It went like shit off a stick, I'm not kidding you. You know, and that was back in kind of my boy-girl racer days, you know, and obviously I used to get into challenges with these young guys in their souped up cars. Oh my God, I love that car, and I had it for 3 years, and then they came and took it away. And yeah, sad day. And then I moved into the realms of like the higher platform one. So I had a Honda CR-V, which my parents now have. I sold that to them. The love of my life was the car I had with my last company, and I did own this car. It wasn't like a company car as such. It was a BMW X5 M Sport in white, and it was just beautiful. Absolutely loved that car. It was like sitting in an armchair. Yeah, just gorgeous. And then obviously when I changed to the company I'm with, I needed to get rid of it. I now drive an Audi A5 S-Line, which is in white again, and is beautiful car. I had it added in a load of extras to it. It's got everything on it, except for the upgraded alloys. It has a TV in it that you can't watch while you're driving. Oh, just every extra you could think of adding into a car it's got, and obviously I pay far too much for it, and next time I order a car it will not have anywhere near the amount of extras that this car does. But yeah, it's like I was like a kid in a sweet shop really when I was ordering it and putting all the extra things on. What is your favourite pizza? It used to be like a pepperoni, but I've kind of gone vegetarian, much to my parents' horror, and it's just been a personal choice. I've always been like really funny with meat, all of my life really. I don't eat lamb. I can't stand the smell or the taste of lamb. I don't really eat pork except for like a bit of bacon, but then when I eat bacon I feel guilty for eating it. You know, really the only meat I was eating was chicken and probably fish. And it's just like on a morning when I go out to work, I'm on like the main motorway in the UK, usually heading south to go and see one of my team members for the day, and I'll pass like the animal transporter truck on the motorway, and it's obviously taking, well, we know where the animals are off to. And then when I come home sort of on an afternoon, early evening, those same transport trucks are coming back, and I'll pass them and they're empty. And I don't know, I've always struggled with the whole concept of eating meat, and it is always a very personal thing, isn't it? And you know, right at this point I've just decided that I don't want the guilt feeling of, you know, eating meat. So I'm still having fish, I'm still eating fish, and obviously corn and things like that in food, but I'm feeling better for it. I am eating more vegetables and salad as a result of it. So, you know, we'll see. I'll never say I'll never eat meat again, but you know, right now I don't want to deal with like the emotional side of eating meat. But you know, that's just me right now. I think we're almost there. Oh, here we are. Last question. If you could only have one lipstick for the rest of your life, which lipstick would you choose? It would be my MAC Pure Zen lipstick. It's kind of like it's like a peachy nude colour. Oh my god, I love it. It absolutely is my favourite colour. Obviously it's not going to go very well if you're wearing pink, but yeah, I love that shade of lipstick. Yeah, it's by far my favourite, and every time I get an opportunity to wear it, I'll wear it. So that is the end of that tag. So I hope that you learned a little bit more about me from that. But yeah, I've finished my thread now. So I think I've probably talked enough. I've done a reasonable amount of stitching as well while I've talked to you. Bear with me. So I think I'm going to leave it there. And I will catch you all in my monthly update that I'll put up in the next few days or so. So take care, guys, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now. Bye.